Hey, this is Taylor with Believe in the Run. I wanted to let you know that the podcasts are getting their own channel. As we continue to grow, please search and follow BITR Networks on YouTube and Instagram to find all of the podcast-related content. If you're looking for the shoe and gear reviews, you can find those on BelieveInTheRun.com or search Believe in the Run on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you for your support. Here's the show.
Give a good stretch, got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you want to talk fun, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop, D-R-O-P. Believe in the Run.
Hey, this is Taylor with Believe in the Run.
And Reese would Believe in the Run.
And Alex with Believe in the Run.
When we have three of us, I can tell our voices like change, like waiting for, depending on the order. Like Reese, you're like, and this is Reese with Believe in the Run. That's your normal. And then you were like, and this is Reese with Believe in the Run. We're excited to have Alex. How about that?
Yeah. I think, it's a full house. I like it.
It's a full house. And this will be the new norm, which is really exciting. We have such an incredible team, and we were just chatting off camera of like, I just want to hang out with you guys. We just have a great team of people, not just great at reviewers, but people, and I love that, and I enjoy this talk every week, even though I don't love talking all that much.
It is good to catch up, and I feel like it is funny. I don't listen to the recordings when they come out, but sometimes I do, just because I'm like, what did I say last week? Like, what nonsense came out of my mouth that people now know about me? And it's always something like oddly intrusive or like something I shouldn't admit out loud, but I do. I'm like, I'm just an oversharer.
I think you always
we've said it before
a little bit on the podcast. There's always like an element of like your mortality that comes out.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's like my daily existence.
I'm still
that's what a
recovering
podcast is.
Yeah. I'm still recovering from being sick, which like, it's so funny because I think I get a lot of crap from people because I'm such a hypochondriac. Like I will wear a mask everywhere. I do all, I'm like, you all do not understand when I get sick, like with a cold, a straight cold. It's over 10 days. Like George was tired for one day. And I was like, I have been out. And I was like, oh my God.
That's how I am too. My immune system is always like kind of suppressed. And if I get sick, it's like weeks and like 4 to 6 weeks before a race. I'm like, nobody look at me. You can't come over to my house. I won't go on a run with you even outside. Like I won't. I'm just like.
This is me, Alex, 100%. Like I was supposed to go to breakfast with people on Sunday. And when I got back on Tuesday, I was like, I can't, it's too close to Black Canyon. And then that day I like absolutely fell apart. So like I got sick anyway, but I was like, I can't be indoors with people at a public restaurant. I don't know your health status.
Yep.
I've trained too much. And here we are.
More on that.
I'm not racing anyway. So,
well, and when you say hypochondriac, I think, just wearing a mask doesn't really put you at that level. But when we travel with you, of like, you got every single pill for every single scenario, probably Band-Aids, and you're not even a mom, and like all this stuff. And you took care of all of us when we went to Chamonix. And so I don't think you're underselling yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Which is very much needed. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Reese,
I would say
like wellness pills. I'll send you a link to those that I take every day. I take
wellness
6 of those.
pills.
They're so good.
Wow.
I'm here for that.
That's my wife too.
Health right now.
Yeah.
So what are wellness pills?
It's like a daily wellness something, and it has like probably way too many, like dozens of things in it. But it's got like the zinc and the vitamin D and vitamin C, and just like all these things that in my head help. So I feel like that. matter.
Well, I mean, and you know, the mental side of it is real too, for sure. Because even like when I get sick, I'm just like, I'm going for a run because that is going to cure it.
Micro
and most
fevers.
of the times after.
Yep.
Exactly. Boom.
Cook that
just
out.
Get them done with. Yep.
When we had a sauna, if I would feel even run down at all, I would sit in the sauna for like 90 minutes and I'd be like, that should do it. That should like cook it out, kill
just
the virus.
Take a nap.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one thing that we all work from home. And that's a newer thing for me still, like within the last year. And besides, like, we've talked about me brushing my teeth. That's a hard one for me to do in the morning because I just enjoy the coffee for so much longer now. But also one of the things that I've missed of that routine is like, I don't take a vitamin like ever. Hopefully I can get most of it in food. However, yeah.
It's hard for you to brush your teeth in the morning? Is that what you said?
Well, yeah.
I love that Alex is on this.
This is yes.
What?
It's not that I don't want to. Let me tell you that. It's not the act of brushing my teeth. It's like I wake up and kind of do my morning routine, which involves coffee. And then I get the girls out the door, ready for school, you know, all that. And while I'm doing that, I'm drinking coffee. And then once I like really get to work, it's really nice to have a cup of coffee, but you don't want to interrupt it with brushing your teeth in between that.
Why don't you do it right away? Why isn't it the first thing you do?
Well, because I get up at like 4:30 in the morning and yeah. So there's
also
that.
Ready to go.
It's the experience of coffee. Yeah.
I have to interject because this is, so George the other day, he was like, every time I've listened to the podcast, I think Taylor says that he wakes up at 4:30. And so I'm like, oh my God, it happened again.
And he reads
so maybe this is like a new,
starts a fire, drinks his coffee.
It's like a new drinking game.
Right.
If Taylor says when he wakes up, you have to drink.
I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. It's such a nice space in time of like, and don't get me wrong, I love my family and they're pretty much the only people I want to be around. But that time of like, when everything's just so still and peaceful and yeah, feels like Christmas morning every morning.
I woke up at 3 this morning with a migraine, so that was fun. That was.
You
just get up, you take some medicine, you go back to bed, and you lay there. And you're
any running this week?
No, I have not run since the 19th, and that was on a treadmill. And then before that, it was the 18th on a treadmill.
Oh,
sorry, those are your last memories of running.
Yeah. And before that, it was in Phoenix or like Scottsdale, which was super fun. That was like the big week. But since I haven't run, and there's just like a lot happening with the old body and too much stress. I just was like, it doesn't, even though I think I could finish Black Canyon 100K, it just doesn't seem like how I wouldn't be able to do it in the way that I want to do it. And I think my body has just been under a fair bit of unplanned stress. And so I'm just like, let's just take a beat. I will do a different race at some other point. It's not the end of the world. Yeah. I'm bummed,
it's
but
hard.
like,
it is still hard.
Yeah. Like I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Honestly, good for me to hear you talk about this just personally, because I just think back to Leadville of like, I should have probably honored my body and not even started. But, you know, like when you have something you're looking forward to, that's one thing. And then when you say you're going to do it, that's another thing. And so there's all these layers of like pretty much self-added pressure.
Yeah.
That, you know, you can choose to either do it or to not. And I'm proud of you for
same
that.
It's hard, and I feel like it's such a good example and good reminder, like you can say no and there will be other races, because I think a few years ago, Tim Tollefson had some setbacks and he put something out there that I remember, and it was like, I didn't have the courage not to start, and just kind of understanding that it takes a lot to,
that would have been a good one.
Not show up and not push through like everyone kind of has grit and death till DNF or whatever.
I think after this week, just as like my body is maybe hopefully going to get back to baseline within the next couple of weeks, TBD, I was like, maybe I just need, I feel like whenever I'm like really, something has like happened in my life, like big, major, or I'm like feeling off kilter, I am someone that just like, I am like, I need to go to the desert. I need to do a reset. I need to be in my like happy place and like recenter. And so I was like, you know what, if I'm feeling better and like willing and able in March, hopefully I can go to the canyon, do a run that's just like, for me, that's like really nourishing in some way. And like the route I would do is like 23 miles. So like very doable. I don't have to like go crazy with training for that. So I just need to like be gentle on my body.
So you can scream at him?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. George will come. So that's how I'll take out my anger.
Part of the therapy session.
Yeah. He'll show up. But maybe I'll like, in place of Black Canyon, I was like, maybe I should go out. Oh, wait, Alex, you could probably meet me. Go out to like Fruta or Moab zone and do some deserty stuff, Kokopelli zone around Valentine's Day, because that's the Black Canyon weekend. Because I think I'll be able to run by then pretty consistently, just not what I was doing.
And the nice thing about when you are injured or sick or whatever, especially in the shape that you've been in, like I always got to remind myself, the depreciation of your fitness is way less than you perceive. So when you hop back in it, it's going to be just fine. And I'm actually happy for you, because I know like there is a level of stress when you're just planning for a certain event. And some people really like that stress, you know, good or bad, of like having something on the calendar always. I always tend to train best when I don't, actually.
Interesting.
Just because it probably feels so good. Like I can go out and pretty much do whatever I want. I still try to structure it a little bit. But yeah, it just feels good to get out there. Personally, I was going to say this too, of like, I'm not sick, but it has been a heavy week, and I don't normally feel it while I run in terms of like the manifestation of stress and other things. It usually, like if I do it, it's usually like a long time coming, and then I feel it in my body in some ways. But yeah, yesterday I was just going out for an easy run. The day before I ran like, you know, up tempo effort for part of it, but nothing crazy, just a normal run. But yesterday I was just like done for. Like I was doing like a minute slower than my typical like slow pace. And I'm just like, wow, what is going on? But then when you think about it, of like, I think some of these things are hitting me, like obviously our social climate, and like I had our neighbor's house burnt down, and you kind of harbor all that feelings for them too, even when you don't realize it. So I just like got back from my run. I wasn't defeated. I feel like I recognized it during the run and kind of took it as more of a therapy session than anything, which I mean, pretty much every day running ends up being that a little bit in its own micro way. But I was going to record the Scott Kinnabaloo Ultra, just first thoughts. And I just like, and I always like hit the camera, you know, record and kind of get set up and make sure everything's good. So there's like some editing I have to do on either side, but I like watched it after and I didn't really realize it, but I just like sat on the rock and just started talking out loud of like, I was like just a good old rock sit and talked about my run as if like the camera was a person, which I don't think I normally do, but I caught it on camera this time. But I will interject here real quick, just saying I was also drinking the LMNT bubbly, which has been totally my jam lately, like the slim cans and the pineapple flavor. Man, if you guys haven't had that, the pineapple bubbly LMNT is phenomenal. And I know you can order it online. I don't know if there's many other places that you can just grab it at a grocery store or anything, but man, I loved it. And it was just like, not only was I exhaling kind of mentally, emotionally, and then like taking in some of that, it was just like all on camera again of like, just a really nice like exhale and time to sit and be relieved. I'll add it to the end of the Scott Kinnabaloo Ultra first thoughts review, but it was all great. And if anybody wants LMNT to try it, if you haven't, or if you have, best electrolyte drink out there, you can go to drinkelement.com/dirt division, and there will be a slew of options of information and whatnot, but you can also get a free sample pack. So yeah.
The body keeps the score, Taylor. Body keeps the score.
Yeah, and I felt it. Alex, how have you been doing this week?
Same, things have felt really heavy. And I went for a similar run where I was supposed to go and do 10 miles and kind of put it off. And my husband's like, just go. You have to go outside. I was like, maybe I'll just walk on the treadmill. And so I can
walking around with one sock for a while.
Scrolling because I can't put it down. Yeah. And he's like, go outside. So I went out, ended up doing like a little over 5 miles, but same. It just felt like, I'm like, it just feels kind of heavy. And like my body just felt heavy and didn't feel like I could get into any flow. So just called it. And I was like, it's good. Got out a little bit. It was good to just breathe some fresh air and put my phone down and step away from work a little bit. So yeah. And like Reese, isn't like that book, Bodies Keeps the Score, very good book.
It's a book.
Just that reminder of like life stress, no matter what you're going through, grief, like fear, like it all compounds and like we'll find a way out. And I feel like everyone says, like stress is stress. Your body doesn't know the difference. But I always try to, even understanding that on some level, I feel like I always try to fight against that where I'm like, but it's not running. So I can go run and it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Quickly get reminded.
Yeah, it's just one of those weeks. Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for January to be over. Like I was talking to a friend who kind of like knows that I've had like a lot of just health stuff going on aside from just having a cold. But we were like, can we have a mulligan on? Like it's like not great right now. I'm like, can we just start over? And then George, the eternal optimist, he's like, no, we're just getting it all out now. And then the rest of the year will be fine.
I like that theory.
Yeah. So George says that the rest of the year is going to be great. And so maybe I should have like, positive mental attitude. Right now, I'm not feeling necessarily that, but fake it till you make it, I guess. Maybe I just need to go outside. Like I've been cooped up in my house, losing my mind.
Yeah.
So
you definitely need to go outside.
I think getting outside.
Sure.
Oh my God.
First and foremost.
But you don't even know. You don't even know.
Some credit where it's due to of like, isn't it so good to have a partner that just like knows you and can like give you exactly what you need, whether it's hard or soft or whatever, at any time of like, I'm really thankful for that.
Jared's looking out for himself. He knows the evening will not be pleasant to not for me. That's for
me. We're all in this together, aren't we? Yeah. What shoes have you guys been running in?
None.
Well, oh yeah.
LOL.
I guess I'll go.
Sorry, Reese.
Yeah. 0. I will run in some road shoes today. I don't have enough time to go to the trails to run in anything. And like the Merrells are not shoes I would run on the road with. They're pretty luggy. So I'm gonna hold off on that.
Yeah.
I am wrapping up my review of the Speedland Black. And so putting a few more miles in those before I can finish my review with that one. And then I'm also been running in the H1. And the La Sportiva. Wow.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. Prodigio Max. Because I've been eating a little softer, a little more cushion right now.
What shoe will you race in for Cocodona? Or what shoes?
That is still a little TBD. Last year I raced I Am Tough in the North Face Vective Endurus. But I had a little
wonderful shoe.
Yeah, it's so good. And I love the rocker. I love the foam. I love the feel of that one. But it gave me arch blisters after a while. So I don't know. I'm going to experiment. Jared's going to have me do this thing where I So my feet were just like destroyed at I Am Tough. And I've had this trouble in the past, just taking care of my feet. So he's going to have me like get my feet wet before I go for a run, like soaked, stand in a little thing we have, bucket, and then just go for a run and kind of test out what happens before a long run and like test my socks, test my whole situation down there. So possibly Prevugio Pro Max as kind of a softer option. But yeah, I'm not 100% yet.
Do you find that that high stack is preferable because of the amount of cushion, or have you found that just like a really good like foam can make up for the high stack?
I like high stack as long as it's stable, because you know how those races get you get a little sloppy as time goes on. Yeah. But yeah, I do like the higher stack. After a while, I need my foot not to bend too much and not to feel anything. So I try to just like wrap it into a very protective shoe.
Which, yeah, and for the effort that you're going to be doing, like 200 miles plus, like my mind, it has a hard time wrapping around like what shoe would be best for that. Of like oftentimes in race day shoes, which we'll talk about today, like we just being light is very much a part of that equation. Whereas I don't think that's the most important thing, even though you're going to be in the shoe so much longer. There's so many other qualities of a shoe that I'd probably prefer for that distance. And so like even shoes like the Speedland GS Black might be one that could actually be a great option just because of the protection, the stability. You could change it up with the plate, like or the Salomon S-Lab Ultra Glide 1.5 is out right now, but the 2 is coming out. That's a shoe we should probably get you. Just hearing what you're describing of like wanting cushion, high stack, just quite secure around the foot. Yeah, I just don't even know. Like, what's your thought process behind choosing a shoe for that kind of distance?
I think I try to consider how well it drains if there's a lot of water crossings, if the upper is breathable, if it's a super hot race. The heel collar matters a lot to me because I have Achilles stuff like everyone. But as that thing swells, it needs a little more room to like kind of push back. So anything that has a heel collar that does this at all and doesn't either kind of go back or just straight up starts to aggravate that a lot. And then things like if I have to tighten to get a lockdown, if I have to tighten too high up on my ankle, I'll start to get, because I have some tendinopathy in my ankle that can get really bad. So things like that. And then, like I said before, just kind of more protective, more roomy. Sometimes I'll even, like on multi-day stuff, sometimes I'll have a half size bigger and a wider toe box, more stable, higher stack cushion shoe, just to like, because your feet, it's just excruciatingly painful after a few days. So you're like anything that can,
no matter what shoe you're in,
often that blow of every step. Yeah. So a number of things, but yeah, I need to get some longer runs in some of these shoes to kind of test out, but I'll probably bring a lot of different options kind of depending on how things go.
Carbon plate or no?
Not usually for these. I don't, I feel like, I don't feel like I've ever raced in a carbon plated shoe, which is probably going to get me kicked right off the team. It's like, I know they're like light and fast, but for the stuff I do, it's just like kind of, you know, like I plod along.
Yeah.
I'm not
And I think there's like a certain like speed at which some shoes actually you get the benefit.
Of course.
And so, you know, you see people in like these crazy super shoes.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but that's like meant for someone who's running like, you know, X pace. And the marginal gain doesn't really translate if you're running like a 12-minute mile.
Yep. Or hiking for hours.
Right.
Yeah. And I find even on the, when it's super technical or anything, like I find the carbon plate sometimes, depending on the design and like what type of plate, feels a little clunky. Like it's just kind of like not flexing over things, but instead just kind of like teetering off. So I haven't raced in carbon. I do like kind of,
and that's where like
midsole though.
Yeah, well, the jury's still out there, right? Of like whether carbon plates are actually beneficial in true trail scenarios. Obviously, there's going to be some terrain where yes, it's more like a smooth road or buffed out where you can kind of push through that stride at a certain pace where there's like inherently some positives to having a carbon plate. But when you're going for so long at a certain pace, it's a glorified stability mechanism, which is really nice in some shoes. Of course, like I just brought out my whole pile of shoes here of like in the Brooks Cascadia Elite. That's kind of the benefit of a plate in there. It's not necessarily a plate, but that's where they're going with it. And I'm really glad for the trail running scene that we're recognizing that and kind of acting on it, not just taking a 1-for-1 off of the road shoes, which can be fun too. But yeah, certainly not for everybody or every scenario. But then when we come down to something like Black Canyon, Reese, that you've been preparing for, what were some of your considerations going from Alex's more than 200 miles
I walk
over, however many days, and you're trying to be on I would say you would naturally mix it up in the elite side of the women's field on that race. And so there's kind of a mind shift and different terrain and all that. So what are you thinking about when you were trying to choose a shoe for that?
Yeah. So for Black Canyon, for me, I'm like, it's not like a crazy technical course. Obviously people are going super fast on it, but it is a course that if you have ankle issues, as I do, stability is like the most paramount thing. And so I think for me, I was like, okay, my feet are probably going to like not feel 100% great after mile 50. And I know that the shoes, the North Face Sky 2, the Vective Sky 2, like that's a fine shoe for, I've used the previous version. I've run in it for like 12 hours, which I really don't see me having been out there for 12 hours. Something would have gone like pretty wrong for that. I would have not finished. I would have just dropped out. So I thought like that would be a really good shoe. The other option I was considering was the Norda 015. But after having run on the course, like that shoe, I feel like just the way the volume of my foot is like, it's so low volume and that shoe can accommodate more. I never could get it quite snug for like quick technical stuff. So I was just like, I just don't think I should do that just based on like pure risk aversion. Like the trade-off to me would be like, I'd rather my foot be like a little more uncomfortable, but low risk of turning my ankle compared to being more comfortable, which I think the Norda would have been. And I think, for me, those were my two options. And I was even looking at, what's that race? Canyon, or what's the race in California that's 100K?
Yeah, Canyons is one of them, or Kodiak.
Yeah. I think Canyons, that's in April. And I was like, oh, maybe I should do that one. I looked at the price and I was like, oh my God, I will not be registering for that. But I looked at that because I was like, oh, that's a similar non-crazy technical course, which I think I'm just kind of like, that's my preference right now, just because I'd rather not deal with like a crazy ankle injury again for a minute.
And I know on the road side too of like, the benefits, we can point to some like objective benefits depending on your pace and whatnot. So you might just suck it up and, hop in the Vaporfly or Alphafly, just even if it doesn't fit the best, or you might not be the most confident because there's no arguing how like efficient and propulsive they are. But on the trail side, I was wondering what you guys thought of like how much of the choice has to be made by just simply feeling confident and kind of forgetting about the tech in the shoe for trail specific?
I think for me, the feeling confident is a huge thing. I think there's such a mental game with it where I'm like, I don't know. I really think that, just being secure and being like, yes, this is going to work is a good idea.
Yeah. And that's where, like, when you just feel good in a shoe, you just feel good. You feel confident. I want to feel secure and like that I made the right choice, right? And there's a lot of arguments for the terrain, the duration, the intensity for your shoe choice, and just so many different variables that kind of like feed your confidence depending on your shoe. And so like where you guys are considering these long multi-hour efforts, I just found out that I'll be doing a race in Trans Gran Canaria in like a month. And I'm not ready for those long multi-hour ones, but I'm going to be doing a half marathon. And so like considering a shoe for something that's like moderately technical, that, that's a short distance race in terms of trail running. And so like my mind automatically goes to, some of these, what's going to make me most confident? Probably a lighter shoe, something that might be a little more aggressive. Plate doesn't really matter necessarily, but I am gravitating toward some shoes that do. But then the stability piece that you've talked about too, of like, I'm just like, that's definitely part of the equation for many trail shoes and what people want in a trail shoe. It just looks different these days. I feel like stability gets that term gets a bad rap. And so stability to me in the modern sense is all about how you are able to control the shoe itself. And so how it's like kind of benefiting your foot in terms of like, you're just in control rather than the shoe controlling you. And so those are some things I'm considering of like.
Do you have some contenders, Taylor, or where are you leaning?
Well, we are going with the North Face. So obviously that leaves one really fun contender of the North Face Vective Sky 2. That's like definitely my favorite option and just an option I would consider probably above any others in that category for that particular race because it just fits really nice. It's a little bit lower to the ground and has a unique carbon plate. That's one of the few that actually is like a full length carbon plate. And so that's kind of unique to that shoe. So there is that stability mechanism kind of inherent, not just by being slightly lower to the ground, but that plate acts more as a stability mechanism than anything. So I feel confident there. It's just lightweight, breathable, fits really good.
That rocker is super nice too. It feels so good when you get rolling.
Yeah. And then, I mean, others that kind of have come up in my mind, like the Norda 005 would be a great option for that just because it's so light. Again, feels good, but in a different way underfoot. Like the confidence I get out of that shoe is slightly different from the confidence I get from the Vective Sky 2.
What about the H1? Would you consider that for a race like this?
In the sense of, well, okay, so here's what I would say for that. This is a kind of from the city center up to the top of the mountain and back down type of race. And so it does cross a lot of different surfaces. And so from that standpoint, it would be great. However, the H1 for me had a little more room that I was comfortable at for that type of pace. If I was doing a slower pace, maybe. Mm-hmm. But that's where I really like the BITR H1, the one that Thomas had designed of like, it has that booty construction. And I'm seeing if I have it back here. I'll grab it. So for those watching, it has a lot of it's not built on the same last, but because there's an internal booty that kind of runs through the midfoot of the shoe, you kind of have that ankle collar as well. It just sticks to your foot a little better. And so it still feels like fairly roomy in all the same ways, but it just, adheres around your foot better. So potentially consider this one for it, because it is light. It's very versatile. And I mean, even though the lugs are like 3 millimeter, 2.5 millimeter, I can't remember exactly, the rubber itself is quite tacky. And so it would definitely be a consideration for sure. But yeah, there's just so there's I have all of my shoes over here to pull from for different race day options, just so I won't forget some of them. But yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, when I think of stability, I really am not a fan of max cushion. I don't think it actually provides people, it provides to me the illusion of more comfort, but I don't think it's more stable because you have so much less ground feel that your brain, the input to the proprioception of like what is happening underneath my foot is just so removed. And then when something you do run into obstacle or some kind of, you hit a rock, the fall from grace, the ankle turn can just be so much more. And so I really think that we talked about this before, where I'm like, it's like these gigantic SUV shoes where I'm like, everyone's got like a Grand Wagoneer on their foot. And I think we're all going to realize that like a Honda Civic is a lot more practical day to day. And I think that just like giving your brain the ability to actually work is a benefit to stability that I think that we've just tried to like over engineer. We're like, oh no, it's got a huge platform and it's got 55 millimeters of stack. This is stable and plush. And you're like, yeah, but I have a brain that's also really, really good at sensing things. And maybe I should let it do its job and not think
at
that
least
like,
to an extent, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess like, I really think that
you're not going to be wearing the Merrill Vapor Glove 6 BOA on your next race.
Yeah. I think there is, like I'm not advocating for everyone wearing sandals to run in.
Yeah.
But like the Hiracha, whatever sandals, but I'm just like, I really think that there is a balance between just like providing just enough that it provides comfort and protection and like grip where you need it, but we haven't over like desensitized the entire experience that it's actually not to your advantage to be using it. And like you're taking away like really important sensory information that your body uses to balance yourself.
Sure.
That's fair. And those ankle turns off of those high stack shoes, they're so severe.
Yeah,
like my ankle has like gone down and touched the ground and come back up. And I'm like, you like just sit there for minutes and
can't do anything. Yeah. But, and we kind of talked about this last week too, of like, and maybe this is an argument for people to consider many other shoes as their race day shoes, aside from the ones that are in that particular category or as labeled as race day shoes. Like the Endurus, you said, it does have some like plate instability technology within it, but it's not like a carbon plate and it's meant for something specific. And I think that's why that shoe, it kind of gives you a little bit of that sense of like feeling a little super, but also it is quite high stack, but you do get that sensation that I am in control of this too. And Reese and I were talking about last week too, of like, there's some shoes, maybe this is the movement, that are in that higher stack category too. But since there's no other like mechanisms within the shoe, like a rock plate or some sort of plate or being 40 plus millimeters, that you do get the benefits of a modern day foam in terms of like a little bit of cushion, a little bit of character, but also you maintain that ground feel. And that's where I'm just going to bring up the Speedgoat right now. And I'm just going to show the bottom because I can't show this colorway. But I think that's like the whole premise of the Speedgoat itself, like originally of like you're getting the benefits of a high stack, a little bit of a rocker. And it was very cultural in when it came out. However, nowadays it's 37 millimeters in the heel. Like that's no biggie. But what I found really nice about this newer version that does have a newer foam is that I still did get a little bit of ground feel. There is some inherent stability within it. And like, that's what's sticking out more than anything else of like, I felt in control and confident running in this on a variety of terrain. And I think that, I think that's kind of what our conversation's coming down to with trail racing as well. It's not having the flashiest, fastest technology on foot, but what's going to make you most confident.
Yeah. So it was really funny when I was looking at road shoes.
We're not selling everybody's shoes right now.
So when I was looking at road shoes for JFK, I'd like never had like a pair of road shoes with a carbon plate or anything like that. And so I went to Scheels, which is not somewhere I would normally shop, but they were the only ones that have
a Ferris wheel inside. Is that why you went?
Yes. They were the only ones that had this particular Hoka. And I asked the guy, the salesperson, I was like, oh, what road shoe do you use? And it's such a funny thing because the difference between like a trail runner and a road runner, he was like, oh, I love the Hoka Skyward. I was like, oh, like, why do you like that? He's like, zero ground feel. You can't feel anything. And I was like, oh man, we have such different criteria for.
Well, and that's Megan and Thomas too. They're like the least amount of ground feel, the better.
That is so not me.
I'm like that in the later stages of a race. I don't want to feel anything. It's like protect.
Sure. Yeah.
Me up.
And that, like, I can't argue with the comfort that these foams and high stack bring. Like, I think when the more we talk of like, and I'm looking over here at all my shoes, there's a reason why the La Sportiva Prodigio Pro ended up as our shoe of the year last year. It lacked any sort of like mechanism inside of it. It just a purely good feeling foam that is tooled in a way that you can still have that feel, a ground feel without being on the ground. And so you get like all the benefits at a fairly high level, but you're still in control.
They did a really nice job on their upper too. That fits so nice.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
I know it's not everyone's jam, but
yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Norda 5.5. I think that, even though I just was like, high stack, I think that one's going to be that one's going to be like a Prodigio Pro for me situation where I'm like, yeah, but it's still good. Cause it doesn't have that like carbon plate and all these crazy things preventing you from like feeling the ground. And in the 05, I mean, the foam is incredible. My feet feel great in it. That's why I would love to be able to race 100K in it. But I think I just want it a little more secure. But I think adding a little more foam to the midsole is going to make it super fun. I don't know. I think that's one of the shoes I'm probably most excited to try out this year.
For sure.
I'm super excited for that and the M1 from Mountain Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that will be kind of exciting to try.
Yeah. And again, kind of hitting that like all mountain shoe construction that, they're choosing not to put a plate in it, and they haven't come out with a carbon plated race day shoe or anything, just because, just leveraging your own body is so important. And I say all this, but then I'm looking at this pile of shoes over here and I'm like, well, the Hoka Rocket X Trail, I feel nothing underfoot really, but it's so fun to run in. And then the same with the Adidas Terex Agravic Speed Ultra 2 of like, there's no ground feel sensation. And I definitely don't necessarily like feel in control all the time of that shoe, but it's so fun to run in. And so, we're trying to be helpful in this conversation for you figuring out what people want for their trail races, but we're all having the same chat in our own head too of like, the kind of the fun factor versus the confidence factor. And the ones that end up being in the middle of those two end up being kind of like my go-to choices.
I don't need anything fancy. I just want something.
It is fun.
Yeah, I just want something that sticks to my foot, snugs it down. That's all I need in my life.
The other thing I'll say is I need a shoe that has at least kind of up over like the top of my foot. I need a shoe that I can lace, because sometimes I will get issues, again, kind of that tendinopathy thing that I get. I need to create, like, I lace the bottom and then I unlace the whole rest of the shoe and then just lace the top. So it's like that window lacing? I think there's a term for it.
Mm-hmm.
But that thing's like barely on, and I need to be able to have some like flexibility with how I attach the shoe to my foot when it's in a really bad place.
Yeah. Which is like, I'm glad there's, at least with the Hoka Rocket X Trail, the On Cloud Ultra Pro, the North Face Vective Pro, even this like Kylos Fuga shoe, the EX Pro, their race day shoe, like, it's not too minimal in the tongue, so you can actually cinch it down. It's not too minimal in the heel, which that's where the whole industry kind of like went straight forward to a couple years ago of like, I'm glad we're seeing like those pieces of a shoe being very important, even in a race day shoe. Like, I don't want minimal if it's not going to feel good. Like, I'd take a little more weight to be able to cinch it down the way I want to. That's a really good point.
This is kind of related. Do you remember that naked shoe that they put out?
Yeah.
Do you remember that thing?
Yeah. Did you like running in it?
I hated it.
Oh, why did you hate it?
It was awful. I don't know. It was just like a one size fits
because it was awful
design, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was.
You had to have the right foot shape.
Such a miss. Yeah.
Yeah. I did, however, and it was lower to the ground in the time where everybody was going really high. I did really like the grip on that one. The only time I would ever use that in a race is like a 5K, anything like half an hour under. And it did stick to my foot really nicely, but oh my gosh, it was so hard to pull that thing on. And
they gave you a shoehorn in the box.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. It came with like a little plastic shoehorn.
Reese's face right now. Yeah.
Immediately now.
Right?
I don't need like it feels like very Victorian, like where you have to have like a corset and someone like zips like cinches you into this thing. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not here for that.
Well, and that upper was like, it was a plastic bag. Like, it was not breathable in the least. Like, I couldn't wear shoes for the rest of the day after wearing that one.
It was like you put on like, it's just like your shoe or your foot was in like this plastic container. Like, it just got hot.
Gross.
It like slid around and like caused hot spots immediately.
No, I'm out.
Okay. I do want to ask real quick. We all have some favorites, historical favorites in the race day category. Could you list top 2 favorite race day shoes ever?
Mine are obvious. North Face Vective Sky 2 and Norda 005.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, shoot. The La Sportiva.
You can give a third.
Pro.
You can give an
the Pretty Joe Pro. Okay. Those are my 3.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to give 3 too, because there's so many that feel so good.
Going way back again for multi-day, slower paced things, I loved the Ultra Timp.
The Timp 2?
It was... Yes, because it was the 1.5, and the 2. It was the 2.
Yeah.
And then
2 is such a phenomenal shoe.
So good. Obviously, the Hoka Speedgoat Evo, which I wore for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the North Face Vective Endurus most recently.
Okay.
And again, I'm not like out there running fast or even running most of my races.
But that's the thing.
It's like slow. So those are just kind of like my shoes that work.
It's kind of fun that we're all in kind of different buckets of like preferred races for trail running, of like, you're kind of the ultra long distance. Reese, you're probably more of the middle distance. And I'm like, man, I just want to go up and down a mountain, really. Like, that's my preference. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to kind of go. See, this is the thing. So I could talk myself into or out of pretty much any shoe, because there's like, oh, I had such a great run in that one, and I remember that feeling. Or like, ooh, that foam really does feel good. I could trade this for that. But all time, well, the Prodigio Pro is obviously like an all timer for sure. It just like kind of meets that middle ground, like we said, of like feeling super confident, but also has the right amount of, modern day tech within it to get some benefits. Shoot, this is a hard one. I'm just going to go to my all-time favorite, I guess. My all-time favorite trail shoe ever is the North Face Vective Pro 2. I think this one could probably still stand on its own in terms of performance. I think they just nailed it in terms of like feeling like a true super shoe for the trail that you could actually run in on multiple different terrain. And I don't even know what I would say for the others, because there's so many stellar options. I just have to stare at this wall for about an hour.
That would be a really boring podcast.
Yeah. No, let's not do that. Okay. So whether we helped folks out or not by our conversation,
I think we might have made it worse.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's comfort in knowing that you're not the only one, right? Of like, we have all the options in the world and we still can't make a solid choice. And that's kind of the cool thing and the hard thing about today's landscape of trail running shoes, is that there's so many great options. Yeah. And you can kind of shop around. If you know what you want, you can pretty much find it.
Yeah. How much climbing does your race have coming up, Taylor? Is it?
I was just looking at that, and it's all in not our measurement system. So I'm like, okay, it says 1.675 meters. And it goes from like 675 meters all the way up to like 1,700 meters. And so it's probably around 3,000 feet of gain. Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
3 feet in a meter.
If it's 1,000 meters, around 3,000 feet of gain, which is pretty stout for a trail half marathon.
Yeah. For sure.
So I don't know. I'll have to do some conversions and really figure it out, because I have a month until we go. But just a little scary, honestly, because my training, I'm to the point of like teetering, and like I'm a little scared to start training, honestly. Like, it's like I can train, and it's kind of a scary step to take. But this will get my butt in gear, apparently.
Pain, like lingering stuff, or are you feeling good?
Nope. No pain. I mean, just tightness here and there, and it's been handling all the stress I give it. And so all signs are showing that I should just kind of step into more of a strategic training plan. But
those first couple runs back after an injury or something are tricky.
Yeah.
You're like,
hypersensitive.
Okay, I don't want to do anything to like get back to that place.
Yeah. And we'll get there. I've been waiting actually for February 1st just to like start structuring anything. I've just wanted to run, enjoy it, get some semblance of getting back into shape, which is the hardest thing. Of like, if you're ever out of shape, getting into a shape that you can handle more training, that's the hardest thing. Just doing that step one, and then you can get into other things. So I'm getting there. But
love to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like we have to have another conversation just to sort out some of our conversation here, but we'll have plenty of conversations to be able to do that. Be confident, people.
Okay. Well, I hope you both have a good rest of your week and you're able to get some runs in.
Yeah, you too.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get outside. Go feed the chickens. pet your horse? Just kidding. You don't have chickens, right?
No.
I was gonna say, do you live on do you have like a little homestead?
No.
She probably should,
you don't
though.
have a horse either?
No, I lease a horse.
You lease?
Lease one? Yeah.
Okay. So
you don't own it.
Kind of like
somewhere and then you...
Yeah. I haven't been horseback riding in a minute, but...
it's kind of like being a horse aunt. A very invested horse aunt.
Yes.
Yeah. So then at the end of is it like a... I have so many questions. We can save these.
Yeah.
I was like,
we'll do a horse running or a horse/running podcast later.
And then what burro race you're going to enter this year?
Yeah, do a burro race.
Man versus horse.
Ooh.
That is a race.
Too many good ideas. Okay, y'all. Nice chatting.
See y'all later.
Right.
Bye. Hey, this is Taylor with Believe in the Run, and today I'm sitting down with Cade Michael. It may be a name that's familiar with you, or maybe not. I would say in the trail running scene, he's a hot up-and-comer, and in my opinion, and results can speak for themselves too, I think Cade is probably the US's top unsigned athlete. And we know he's top-notch. We've run into him kind of all over the place at this point, in California a few times. He lives in Boulder and has a lot going on. But Cade, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks so much. We don't live too far from each other, but we only run into each other in exotic places. So
I know, like California and France and all these places that runners typically go, I guess. Which it is kind of funny too, of like, I think we met probably officially last year at Western States, Broken Arrow that week.
At the Hoka beer mile, I would guess. Sometime.
Oh, yeah. And I know that one doesn't show up on results lists. It doesn't show up in your UTMB index, but you are the reigning champion of the Western States beer mile.
I am. Probably my most proud result of of last year. That was, that was a hoot.
Which I've only ever done two, and they've been at Western States, and both times, man, and maybe it's the fact that I don't run that fast, or it's the fact that I don't typically chug beers. I don't know what it is, but putting those two together is a very unique and hard and fun experience, I guess. Fun, is that the word you'd use?
No, absolutely not. It's a business proposition, 100%.
Yeah,
I don't drink. And I think the only two times I've like really drank in the past 2 years is the Mammoth Beer Mile and then the beer mile at States this year. So it's a business proposition. I go into it fresh over fit, I guess. Not a lot of practice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fresh is kind of a loose term there, because one of your results this year was at Broken Arrow. You've had a lot of great results, and I'd love to get your background here in a little bit, but I think we can hop right into 2025. You're just kind of looking back on this year, because I think it's a great launching point. You've been trail running for longer than this year, obviously, but 2025. Just by looking on paper and being able to see you, like, we have the luxury these days of having like live feeds and just kind of being in the mix that way, in terms of like elite fields, and just being able to see you out there on the trail amongst the world's best, really. Of like, when you look back at 2025 and some of the results you've had, what's going to stick out to you? What's going to be memorable?
Yeah, I mean, beyond the obvious, the beer mile. Really, the learnings. I think that this year I committed to just like taking big swings, sort of across the board. Like you said, most of the races, just competition and the guys that I was going up against was unbelievable, from Broken Arrow to OCC to Kodiak and so on and so forth, JFK. And so I think that while maybe the year didn't go quite as well as I had hoped, and a lot of those results left me unsatiated to some degree, there was lots of learnings, and some of that comes from racing and interpersonal experience. But a lot of that also comes from like learning from the guys that are beating me in a lot of those races. And so I think, one of the big takeaways from the year is just, taking big swings and swinging for the fences. And when it doesn't go well, being among those guys, like you're going to learn something every single time.
Yeah, of course. And so like, what's your background coming into these races? Most of the races you ran this year are kind of in that 50K distance. You took some swings at the 50-mile distance as well, which I believe were your first results, thinking about Silver Rush, 50-miler, and JFK, right? Are those both your first 50-mile results?
Yeah, so last year, or the year before, 2025, and 2024 was my first year on the trails, and that was all sub-ultra stuff. So Golden Trail World Series, the WMRA World Cup, a lot of races like that, the shorter distance of Broken Arrow. But a lot of my interest lay in the longer things. And so originally this year was supposed to be sort of a transitional year. So lots of 50Ks and potentially 50-miler. It ended up being less of a transitional year because I feel like I didn't nail a lot of those. Like I didn't sort of get the routine down. And by the end of the year, I was like, okay, I understand this. I can move up, no problem. So the outcome was a little bit different, but yeah, the background went from sub ultra in 2024 and then in 2025, sort of looking at those middle distances and trying to branch up to what eventually really excites me, which is the long stuff and a lot more pieces to the jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah. And what about pre-2024? What was your relationship with endurance sport or just sport in general? Like what were you up to before that?
Yeah, sure. So
you're
I
fairly
ran
young, right?
Yeah, fairly young.
Yeah.
My partner might like to tell me that I'm old. But yeah, I ran in the NCAA. I ran a couple years at Western Colorado, out in Gunnison.
Okay.
And prior to that, I ran at Texas State, which is in San Marcos, Texas. So was an NCAA runner, lots of steeplechase, 5K, cross country, sort of the whole gambit. And then ran in high school briefly, sort of towards the end of my junior year and senior year, as a result of tearing my ACL and having to cross train out of baseball. So, been an endurance junkie for the better part of a decade now, for sure. But more recent to the trails.
So then what's been your pull to the trails like all of a sudden 2024? Because I mean, being in Gunnison, it's obviously going to be out there and available to you. Were you a trail runner when you were in college there too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're limited in the sense that a lot of what we were doing was either on the track or recovering from the track. So you're not doing a ton of steep stuff, but just being in proximity, both to the trail team that's at Western Colorado, and you have guys that come out of that like Brian Whitfield and Jesh and Kieran Ney. And also just having like the accessibility out there, the access to the trails out there is unreal. Living 1 year in Crested Butte and a couple years in Gunnison, just everything out the door is pretty phenomenal. But the draw to trails and even ultra, believe it or not, sort of dates back like long prior to living in Colorado. I remember as like a junior in high school, like the minute I started running, I followed like the OG I Run Far account on Twitter. And that was the year that Jim took the wrong, for better or worse, Jim took the wrong turn and just sort of like completely was enamored with the sport, watching like old Billy Yang films or like old Lighting the Fire things on Jim. And so like before I'd ever run, more than 10 miles in my life, I was like following along with Western States and UTMB. And I was always pretty enamored with that side of the sport.
Yeah, I definitely can connect with you there because I was doing the same thing and coming out of high school into college and all the Solomon stuff that was coming out. It was kind of the age where all that was kind of for the first time, at least in the media age, being presented and just like being presented so beautifully too, of like, it's engaging. I'd imagine if we throw those up to any new runner now, they'd also maybe have the same itch to hit the trails. So then 2024, did you go right into the trail team? We've spoken with Andy Wacker on here before, and he was able to kind of describe the goal of the trail team of kind of taking these interested runners, maybe out of college, maybe like just fresh into the trail running scene, and set them up for success on the trails.
Yeah, totally. I had taken a bit off of running immediately after the NCAA. A little bit of burnout and just some issues to get through sort of personally in my relationship with running, and completely fell back in love with it. And my roommate at the time, Alex McCarsky, who ran at Cornell, had applied to the trail team, had sent me the application, and I didn't think much of it. And then both he and my partner, Ashley, just like really encouraged me to apply, even though I hadn't been running a ton. I was mostly riding my bike at that time. And they're like, it was the first time in a while that someone had told me to do something, not because I was good at it or it would be like the smart career choice or whatever, but because I loved it. So I applied for the trail team, actually in the back of a follow vehicle at a bike race that I had like punctured and flatted out of, and was just like cold and upset and in the back of the van. And I like pulled out my phone and just submitted the application there, didn't think much of it. And then, I got plugged in with that, started training with Andy a bunch, and got a whole lot of opportunities that I wouldn't otherwise have. It certainly flattened the learning curve, both from like a technical side of the sport and the actual skills required, but also just the knowledge around how to travel to these races. Because it's a much different scene than when you have like a whole team around you and a coach setting you up, and you're, sitting at the Brian Clay 5K watching 32 heats before you or something like that. There's a lot more nuance to it.
Well, and nuance in the sense that this is still fairly new. Like you are kind of part of that class. There's a few others that have really hit their stride in trail running that have had that opportunity kind of right out of college, or of the opportunity to join a program like the trail team that can set you up for success. And like you said, it's kind of like not just a physical coaching platform where Andy and crew can help you get ready for the trails, but they also have that educational aspect of being able to help you make connections. How to go to and from traveling the world, because it's not cheap or easy to get to all these places where the best competition is. Can we poke at the kind of like your lack of running there for a little bit? You said there's a little bit of a relationship dynamic that had changed in 2024 or prior to 2024 with running. Are you comfortable talking about that at all?
Yeah, sure. I had thought that I was going to run another year in the NCAA, was going to get eligibility back, had sort of communicated with the compliance department. My coach thought that was the case, had a scholarship, was going to go to grad school, had signed a lease again for the next year, trained the whole summer going into cross country. Was completely under that impression. And then just some paperwork didn't get filed, and deadlines had passed. So that sort of got pulled out from under me a little bit, which was a bummer. And I think that it was just hard in the sense that I had really invested a lot mentally, emotionally, and physically into that coming year. Like I didn't know that I wasn't going to get the season back until August. So I had spent that whole summer putting in just tons of miles with a lot of hope for what was to come. And that didn't pan out. And so I think I was just like frustrated, had a lot of fitness, and didn't know exactly where to go with it. And I was acutely aware that if I raced cross country or track or whatever the case may be that season independently of the NCAA, I was going to spend the whole time thinking like what could have been, or trying to do things out of spite, proving a point, whatever the case may be. And I didn't think that would be like a healthy place to come from, because running had always been just such a joy and a love. So, sort of stepped away and went into the classic pipeline of trying triathlon, trying gravel cycling and road cycling a little bit. So did that for a little under a year without a ton of running, just sort of resetting. And maybe the distance makes the heart grow fonder, but realized that running is just absolutely my joy, and I'd rather be doing it than almost anything else, anything else. And so, since then, been back at it.
Well, it'd be hard. It's a hard thing coming out of college anyways, especially from a competitive standpoint of like, I remember having the experience of, I really knew I loved running, but I didn't really know what to do. I didn't really have any hobbies otherwise, but I knew I didn't want to run on the track or on the road competitively anymore. So like, what was there to do? And I was thankful that I had an experience like moving out to Colorado and having trails, easy access to trails right away, something I enjoyed otherwise, but it was a completely new sport. And sometimes that dynamic shift in perspective was like, yeah, it really saved me personally into running, and seems like being able to shift a little bit out of it and now back into it kind of saved your love for it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Where'd you move from when you came to Colorado?
So I grew up in Minnesota and then went to college in Iowa, and then pretty much came right out here after that. So I've been here like 11, 12 years now.
All right. Bona fide local at this point. Was your genesis into like the trails when you moved to Colorado, or was it prior to that?
Well, it's kind of like you in the sense of like, I always, as a kid, was always outside, and not just because my parents like kicked us out of like, I'm a little bit older than you, I would presume. So like definitely a latchkey kid, and we just spent all of our time outdoors. But then when I started kind of like movement, sport, that side of competition was really intriguing. But I always felt like recreationally, I was just outside doing things, and through cross country and whatnot, I was just exploring more, and my mom would always come with me. So then we got onto some trails before we even knew trail running was a sport, doing some like snowshoeing, that kind of stuff. So it was a pretty natural thing once running and those types of activities came together in the sport of trail running and seeing it, like you had said, in media. It's pretty motivating for sure.
Yeah, totally. That's a cool thing about like when we got into it, is that media was starting to exist. Cause like otherwise, you know, if you're in Iowa or Minnesota or, you know, West Texas.
Yeah. Where'd you grow up at?
Yeah. Texas? Like West Texas, oil country, Friday Night Lights, a town called Midland.
So
not a lot of trails, not a lot of anything.
Okay. Yeah. I would have the hunch that you kind of felt like me in the sense of running was very much an oddity. Like even in high school, I would run at like 10 or 11 at night because I didn't want people looking at me as I was going around town running. It was just one of those things that everybody questioned on why, or it was weird. Not in Colorado where we're at now, but definitely felt that way growing up.
Yeah, I definitely had a tobacco can or two thrown at me for sure out of the truck wall.
Dang it.
In my split shorts, but you know, running's cool now.
Skin.
So yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. At least we'll say that, and we can find
kids these days will never know
the hardships we went through. But it is interesting, especially I was just talking with a local parent here about their child and their performance in endurance sport. But we live in an area, whether you're an adult or a kid, where endurance sport is so saturated. It's kind of an unrealistic view of the world and the competition around the world of like Boulder. I mean, as much as an elite athlete as you are, you're just kind of one of the many elite athletes that are there. It's an interesting place to be. Yeah, what's it like living in Boulder as a endurance athlete?
Oh, I mean, I love it because despite the draw that I always had sort of to the trails, like was going to run in high school in the NCAA regardless because team was so important to me. And living in Boulder feels like you can kind of still be on a team. Like I don't ever have to run alone if I don't want to, right? Like no matter no matter how hard I'm trying to run either. Like there's always someone faster. There's like a meme that one of my friends showed me the other day. That was, some off the cuff running thing that was like, all these people, and this guy's like in the corner of the party, and he's like, all these people don't know I have the highest VO2 max in the room. And it's like, this guy must not live in Boulder.
Or you just know
never the fastest guy at the party. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I remember like a few years ago, I ran a trail marathon. It was early spring. I had a great race, came in like 3rd place, 4th place or something like that. And kind of telling my coworkers as a teacher, like, oh yeah, it was a great race. I didn't want to like, the place itself wouldn't kind of share the accomplishment for me personally, because it was like Drew Holman took 1st. You have Ryan Smith who took 2nd, and like you have Western States, Leadville 100 winners, some of the best. Whereas like my 4th place might as well been a championship to me, because it felt so good. That's just what it's like running around here.
Yeah, definitely. There's no like chill local race here for sure.
No.
Like whether you go to GoPro, like whether you go to like GoPro games and you're like, oh, it's just some like race in Vail that people haven't heard of. If people on this podcast haven't heard of GoPro games, it is so deep and so competitive every year. It's unreal. Yeah. Or like, I don't know, there was like in a random 2-mile race at City Park in Denver that I went and did because and it wasn't like there was a lot of prize money. It was like get a free pair of On shoes or something like that. And like 5 of us went under 9 minutes. It's like, man, this is not cool.
Ironically, I just ran there in City Park for the first time, like just a few days ago. And, out here in the mountains and the woods, I might see a trail runner every now and then. I almost never see another runner while I'm out. But when I was out there, it was like probably less than every minute I would see a new runner, and not just people who are hobby jogging, like they were cruising, many people. So it's just such a saturated place. Definitely an iron sharpens iron type of place, because I mean, if you follow pretty much any Boulder runner out there, like you're running around with the Boulder Boys, you're running around with all these other folks who definitely have the experience and the talent to, like you said, really push you to the next level. And that can be seen. I would assume you would attribute some of that, some of your results to that, like seeing 2024, you had really, really solid results coming into the sport. 2025, pretty much all of your results at the 50K distance. I mean, you had, 3 top 10s, it looks like 3 top 10s at what would be considered like A tier or even like B plus tier races around the world. Definitely like elite level runners, which is huge. And then coming out with a top 20 at OCC, which was a huge race for you. Not just top 20, 15th place overall in the most competitive 50K in the world. So when you look back at a year like this, I know there was a lot of learnings, like you said, but what kind of things would you attribute to that type of success at that 50K distance?
Yeah, I mean, certainly most of my success, performance is just a product of people. And so the more I can surround myself with, the not just the happier I am, but certainly the better my running goes. Like you said, whether it's Seth and Drew and the Boulder Boys or Jesh and Andy or whoever the case may be here in Boulder, there's always an aggregate to learn from. Yeah, the year was interesting. It's kind of funny to talk about because I think that there were some good results. I was sort of dealing with I had sort of one issue that happened in every race and just became more pronounced in the 50 miles. But every single race over 3 hours this year, which I guess was all of them outside of GoPro games and the Boulder 10K, just had like really severe, really debilitating cramping. So I'm having to work through that. So it's a one. Yeah, it's a strange one to talk about because Canyons OCC, like everything. I am sort of two minds about it because like proud of the results and ran really well, but again, just like really unsatiated in the sense that I feel like left a lot on the table.
Yeah. And I mean, that's partly like an athlete's mindset, right? Of like, sure, you can be proud of it first, but the things you tend to take from it most are like, what could have I done, or what will I do next? And so have you been able to kind of mitigate some of those? Like your performance at OCC seemed to have been like just stellar. And I think for some of us who follow kind of the US running scene, that wasn't too much of a surprise to see you so high in the rankings and seem to have had a great race of being like really kind of 15th ranked in the world. That can be seen as kind of a world championship style race for sure. So when you look back at like that, where there's still cramping issues and whatnot in that race?
Yeah, unfortunately, so they had changed the course this year because of the weather and the mud, and we ended up going straight from Triant over Col de Baume, which was like
which is an insane
meter climb or something like that. Yeah, super hard. And thought I had been playing it conservative. Was running with David Norris and Adam Peterman, and we had a little American hype train going there for a little bit. And yeah, I was planning on trying to really bomb the second half because I was really familiar with that part of the course, really from Col de Baume to the finish. And I ended up walking the entirety of Col de Baume, had to stop a couple times for some cramping. And maybe OCC is the result I'm the most proud of, because Col de Baume, for people that are familiar with Chamonix, is like not that close to the finish. It's maybe halfway into the race. And so that was the earliest it happened all year, cramping wise. And I felt like I won a lot of battles in the sense that I walked and I lost a ton of places, probably went back into 25th to 30th, and then just fought really hard to the finish for every place there. But it was, it's a funny year to think about because the results on the UTMB index don't always indicate everything that went into the race. But, again, like you said, that's just the athlete's mindset. Like everyone thinks they are always improving. That's one of the things that's so addicting about endurance sports, right? Is that it's theoretically an infinite ceiling. So,
yeah. Well, and especially in ultra, and the longer you go, you've kind of already hinted at this, but the longer you go, those problems, it's not like you're running so much slower that those problems kind of go away. There's more opportunity for problem solving because you're just out there longer. So you've kind of stepped up to that 50-mile distance this year and have had, was it a 12th place at Leadville? And then something like that, right? Was Silver Rush your first 50?
Yeah, it was. That was sort of, it's funny. Every race I signed up for this year was like, this is going to be the one. This is like the redemption race. And so I thought it might be there. And probably finished somewhere in there. Made it out to mile 25 at the turnaround, I think. Feeling pretty good and running strong. And then for anyone who's familiar with that course, it's like a big descent out to the turnaround, and then you turn around and flip and come right back up that climb. Same thing happened, and just sort of like clockwork, cramping around 3 hours, and had to walk for a long time, but won a lot of mental battles there, and was able to finish, which is never an easy thing to do up at, above tree line. So,
well, I mean, and that's the thing too, like with a race like that, there's altitude you're playing with your own physiology for sure. It's not like you're racing out of your fitness. And that's kind of the issue I had of like, I just thought, you're kind of questioning all the things leading up to it because of these silly little cramps of like basically any race that was over 4 hours for me too, of like cramping, I knew was going to be an issue. And so you're just kind of thinking back of like, was I racing outside of my fitness? Did I not prepare well? I felt great on that climb, but all of a sudden this happened, and it just makes you question so much. But I mean, for me, I don't know if you've done this, but I got a sweat test done. Like someone had recommended that to me. I think I was kind of on the early end of getting those done, and now you can do them yourself and send them in. But that was huge for me just to know that it actually wasn't necessarily my fitness or racing outside of my fitness. That had definitely happened, I think. And it wasn't necessarily the salt or electrolyte intake. It was actually that my sweat rate was so much higher than I ever thought it was, especially being out here in Colorado and in dry climates. And
like the actual fluid that you were using, like the volume of the fluid that you're losing.
Yeah. So like for me, it's like 950 milligrams of salt is being lost an hour or something like that. But the fact that my sweat rate is like at a 1.7 or 1.8, something like that, it pretty much doubles that. So I'm like over an hour, it would be like up to, almost double that. So almost 1,800 milligrams of salt, but because of all the fluid I was losing. And so that was a game changer for me.
Yeah, that's affirming to know that other people are in the same boat. And
a lot of people
also affirming to know that you have solved it. And it was it fine at Leadville this year?
Yeah, it was great. And ever since I've done that and kind of like taken some moves to really solve that issue with that particular knowledge, it really was the amount of fluid I was taking in, not necessarily the electrolyte. So maybe that's a thing for you.
Yeah, I did get a test. My partner works for Scratch Labs, perfect. Actually here in Boulder. So got a test and have a astronomically high sodium concentration. I lose 22 to 2,300 milligrams of salt per liter.
Holy cow.
Yeah, lots of salt stains going on.
Dude.
And I don't know what my sweat rate is. I've done like a few of like the weigh-in things, and it seems to be in hot weather, maybe like 1.5 liters per hour. But there's just, that is what's so intriguing to me about trails and in particular like long stuff, the ultras, is all of the puzzle pieces. But a lot of times it can be like pretty overwhelming when you don't have the corners of the jigsaw puzzle already filled in, It feels sometimes like solving the puzzle without the picture next to you. But luckily, have been introduced to and working with some people that are a lot smarter than I am in that neck of the woods.
That's the key to all this, actually.
Yeah. So fingers crossed that it changes this year.
Okay. And I know you're also a gear junkie, and that's part of this problem solving process of like, you've had quite a variety of races this year. What were some of your shoe choices that you pulled on? Let's do training. And I know you also run quite a bit on the road. So what are some of your favorite training and some of your favorite race day shoes that you've been using this past year?
Yeah, totally. Have been, for better or worse, like a lot of times I wish I was just like, give me a pair of pegs and I can do whatever kind of guy. Yeah. But ever since I started running, I remember walking into the running store in Texas and like laughing about and making fun of this marshmallowy looking blue and highlighter yellow shoe that was the Clifton One. Tried it on and like my life was changed. So since then, just unfortunately, heel bevels and drops and rockers and foams matter a lot. I've got a selection here. I was lucky to get a lot of shoes. Send a lot of shoes to try this year, which is a cool thing about not having a sponsor or partner to work with, is you get to try a lot of things, and it was an exciting year for race shoes. I think this was a favorite of a lot of people. This is what I raced OCC in.
And that's put a ton of miles On Cloud Ultra Pro.
This is the On Cloud Ultra Pro. Pipa foam, but no plate, I think, or like maybe a fiberglass plate in the forefoot. But,
it has a unique fiberglass plate for sure.
Went with this for OCC because I think it's pretty good in tech for as far as the super shoes go.
Was surprising to me, and maybe it was surprising to you too, of like the forefoot isn't slim. It's actually quite moderate in terms of being able to accommodate someone's like wider forefoot or more voluminous foot. But the fit overall, you just kind of sink into it and you're there.
Yeah, definitely. It has that super wide platform. I think that the language that we are equipped with to talk about trail shoes, like maybe needs some upgrading, because people talk a lot about like stability of a shoe when they're talking about it in technicality. when I think of stability of a shoe, I'm thinking of like a road shoe and how much it pronates, right?
Yep.
And when I think about the technical ability of a shoe, I think about what might be described as stability, but I would call like the tipping point, which is like at what point when you're rolling to the outside does your ankle completely cave? And this has a pretty good tipping point, I would say. Like you can hit a rock off camber and be fine.
Yeah, and it was surprisingly nimble, even though it had such a wider platform. And to your point of like you liking stack and more of an aggressive rocker, like that one is a little bit more moderate, even of like it's not too aggressive from really any standpoint, and that's why it surprised me of being such a great race day option.
Yeah, really, really versatile. Like you could totally train in that shoe. Like the plate's not super aggressive, and I think that's why I ended up with it at OCC. Is just 12,000 feet of climbing is a lot more than I've ever done in any other race, and especially it was really wet at OCC as well, and just having the confidence in that foot strike. So anyway, raced a lot in that shoe. In 2024, I did every single race in this shoe, which isn't shocking to a lot of people. I think a lot of people loved this.
Well, I think a lot of people, you either loved it or hated it. And
really polarizing. For sure.
So your foot obviously fit well into it. For those who are just listening, this is the Adidas Terex Agravic Speed Ultra, the original version. Yep. And so your foot fit it. Did you have any issues in terms of like rubbing on the heel and on like the pinky toe was the biggest issue for most people?
Oh, interesting. Okay. No real fit issues. I mean, you definitely had a size down in this. But I was fortunate enough to win this one from GoPro Games. And there was a lot of complaints, I think, about like the technical abilities of the shoe. But I raced like the Golden Trail Final in this and found it totally fine. I think, like I said, because the roll point or the tipping point seemed fine because the forefoot is so broad. The upper was a little swirly. People get
scared by just when you flip it over to the outsole. They get a little. There's some trepid feelings about how slim it is in the midfoot there. And through the heel. However, if you are striking more midfoot or forefoot, I mean, even in long ultras like, David Roche is kind of famous for wearing that shoe even on Leadville. But most of that, he's kind of running and striking more midfoot, forefoot. It has this gyrosphere-like sensation where it's always kind of pulling you back to the center. So for me, it was never really the question of being unstable. It was just that you had to be able to strike the right spot of that shoe.
Yep. Yeah, totally. The gyroscopic is a good way to put it. And so I never had any issues like technically speaking in the shoe. So I thought the tipping point was good, but then stability is like, I had to I stopped using this shoe because like you were talking about, just that super narrow waist just started really hurting my plantar fascia. A bit, which is something I've dealt with historically.
Much less supportive. So that's kind of like the opposite of that on Cloud Ultra Pro. Like that ASU original version is so aggressive in ways that no other shoe really is, but it makes it so much more fun to run in. Have you run in the second version yet?
I haven't run in the second version. Just dealing with
second version.
Plantar fascia stuff. Wasn't sure if that had changed at all. But I know that my buddy Jesh, who runs for Terex, likes the updates to the second, thinks that it's a little bit more forgiving and friendly.
I agree.
Yeah.
Not everybody's on that boat, but I agree.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah, another polarizing one. And then I'll just run through the other three super shoes that I thought were really good. This, I thought this is the Puma DV8 Nitro Elite Trail. Yeah. Puma's just crushing it. Like their road shoe, I never got the R3, but just the Nitro Elite 3. Just the original Nitro Elite 3. This is my favorite super shoe ever. It just feels really it doesn't run you, I guess. And so could just wear that forever. And so I liked this shoe a lot as well. I wore this at Broken Arrow and GoPro. It sort of toes that line of being very road super shoey, but also like pretty stable, wide platform.
Do you feel like that one's less aggressive for those who like to do the crossover between road and trail? Like I have that Deviate Nitro Elite, the road version you were showing. I have it. I actually have never worn it because I'm just on the trail so often. So I don't even know how, like, does it feel like a similar sensation between those two shoes, the trail version and the road version? Or is it enough different that doesn't matter?
Yeah. I think that there's enough of a difference that, like I tried to use that, the road shoe on the trails a few times here in Boulder because I thought I might use it for Kodiak, and it just really the toe bumper protection is what got me. And so it's just a little bit less stable. I think it definitely warrants having both shoes in Puma's lineup.
But they feel like if you're a fan of one, you could be a fan of the other. Like it feels totally familiar. Okay.
Yeah, and so I would assume that the Fast R3 is different, but
I would think
Got the Hoka Rocket X Trail.
Okay. Was
stoked about this one.
You really made your rounds on shoes this year.
Yeah, I was lucky to get sent a few pairs of these. And then of the ones I've shown so far, I think this is the one that I purchased and was really excited for. I saw you wearing this at Broken Arrow. And really because the wide platform is good for stability and planter. Not too bad of a tipping point. But I was really excited about this one because this was like one of the first shoes that was using the ATPU, which I think is just like the truth on the roads and making its way into the trail, because PIBA is so like compliant. Like it sort of molds so much. And
we need to get you on the review team. Forget searching for a full-time sponsor.
Yeah, this is just me talking about things. Glad that you'll listen, because my girlfriend tells me that I care too much about it. But yeah, PIBA's like soft enough and compliant enough that when you step on a rock, it sort of like morphs to it. It's like springy in the sense that like a trampoline is, whereas the ATPU feels more like a lacrosse ball or something. Like the rebound is just like more immediate. And so I think that I was really excited for that on the trails, because I thought it could give you that like real super shoe feeling without being too squirrely.
Perhaps that's why you like I feel like, the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite Trail and the road version, both of those use ATPU, don't they? I believe so.
Yep, they do.
I know the trail version does. So you're just an ATPU fan. So this next year, you'll actually really enjoy that, because there's a lot of shoes that are going to be coming with that ATPU, or at least an ATPU layer.
Yeah, excited about that. And it's so durable too. Like it seems to last forever.
Well, that's the thing.
Really excited about the
Rocket. What are you excited about? Well, okay, the Rocket X Trail too or the Rocket X Trail is one of those that is surprisingly durable because of that ATPU, that kind of blended material. But also, it retains that fun, exciting feel for much longer compared to many other race day shoes. But what are you excited about?
The Puma Deviate Nitro 3 just lasted forever. I probably have 800 miles in that super shoe, and it still feels good.
Oh, wow.
Really excited about, the ASICS prototype that Tom and Ben wore at UTMB, because I really like their road foams. And if it's anything like the FF Turbo Squared that's in the Mega Blast, it's going to be sweet on the trail. But also for the entry of Kip Run into the market, the Kip Run Kip Summit race looks great. I mean, like ATPU, Matrix Upper, and then Vibram is kind of like the pesto of running shoes. Like you could put it on bread, or you could put it on a newspaper, and it tastes good, So
such good analogy.
Yeah, excited about the Kip. Kip
I've been running in the Kip Summit Max, and I've really been loving that foam. And I hope that the foam itself, it is an ATPU based foam. I hope that it lasts a long time, but I'm not feeling super confident in that fact yet. I'm going to take it out for a lot more miles, but it feels so good. So if you're a fan of that ATPU, we got to get you that too.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like who's betting on what on the trails, because like you just said, there's a handful of brands that are really leaning into the ATPU, but then you have like the Cascadia Elite that's coming out that I've been lucky enough to put some miles in, and then this, which is the ACG Ultrafly that's coming out, and Nike obviously is the pioneers behind PIBA. So interesting to see which brands are leaning into what.
And for those who are nerding out with shoes with us still, how would you compare, like I haven't even been in that Ultrafly 2 yet. And so how would you compare that, or where do you think it would land in between the shoes that you've kind of shown so far? Like what is it most similar to? What does it feel like? Or is it just completely unique?
Yeah, it's pretty unique. It fits really in the middle of a lot of them. It reminds me a bit of the Cloud Ultra Pro in the sense that it's not heavily rockered like a lot of the other ones.
Yep.
And it does have that like PIBA sink-in feeling. I will say that where I know that some people find the Cloud Ultra Pro like too soft maybe, and a little bit too flexible. Like the Nike obviously has a carbon plate, so it's pretty stiff and feels quite responsive. And it's shockingly good in technical terrain. Like I think it's just a huge upgrade on the one. Like I said, as far as those tipping points are concerned, it's just such a wide platform.
Yep.
And so I feel comfortable taking this on like pretty much anything, and the upper's pretty bulletproof too. So I think it's Nike, so a lot of people are going to buy it one way or another. But
of course,
I think a lot of the people that are persnickety about their shoes as well will be stoked whenever to get this one.
Quite happy. So what would be your ideal circumstance for that shoe? Like, are you going to be throwing that on for any races this year? I mean,
I don't know.
Barring sponsorship, I should say.
Yeah, barring a sponsorship, or just seeing what else is coming out and lends itself well. I actually think it would be like an awesome shoe for an OCC, or something a little bit more technically oriented. I think for Black Canyon, which is the next race that I'm going to do coming up, I'll wear something a little bit more rockered, because that just really fits my biomechanics, particularly on a course where you're like really, really running like rolling. That. So,
and are you going 50K or 100K?
Going 50K.
Okay.
100K seems like a scary leap, considering that I haven't made it past 50K without cramping really bad yet. Yep. So, implement some of the strategies that people are helping me out with there.
For sure. That 50K field at Black Canyon is surely like, it's the early season tester for a lot of folks, for sure.
Yeah,
so it's an exciting race.
It's great. I saw that Peterman's coming. I know Jesh is going to do it. Good friend of mine and never misses in the canyon. There's going to be some big names going out there and running real fast. I think Liam Myro is debating between going out to Taraware or coming to Black Canyon. So it'll just be lightning fast.
There's a lot of folks. I'm excited to see that last kind of start line shot to see who's all there and who ends up at the end.
Yeah, Black Canyon's really establishing itself as like this the go-to like early season race. I mean, it always has been, but it seems that trail racing is starting to like consolidate to some degree. A lot of that has to do with the UTMBs and the lifetimes of the world. Putting a lot of money into it, but there are like a handful of really pinnacle races throughout the year, and Black Canyon seems to be the early one now at both distances.
Well, and a couple of athletes that I've talked to this year, like Taylor Stack, Dan Green, and they're like attributing some of their success to being able to show up and perform at those particular races. So it's great to see that you're going to continue to show up at Black Canyon. And where else are you going to be this year? Do you know?
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a revenge tour from last year. Just in the sense of, loved the schedule and loved the races and was enamored with the nature and the environment at a lot of those, and just felt like I left a lot on the plate. So hopefully isolate some variables and go back to a lot of those same courses and try to implement those learnings. So start off with Black Canyon, and then I'll go to canyons. Broken Arrow again. Awesome that Brendan and ACG are able to put a huge prize purse and attract some talent out there. back to OCC, headed to Sham, and then we'll sort of go from there. At some point, I'd like to step up to the 100K. I think this year.
Okay.
We'll see how those learnings go, and how the progress goes in terms of learning about nutrition and figuring out the pieces to this ultra. But that's the plan for now. Start off with Black Canyon and take it one step at a time.
I mean, just looking at your first year in 2024, some of those results, how you've pretty much like cut those down in half for this next year. If you do that again this year in terms of competition, like that puts you've already been running with the best of the best, even with these issues. If you can solve some of these issues and perform to your capability, like you're top in the world. And how does that make you feel going into these? Like, do you feel that like, do you feel like I'm Cade, I can do this with anybody, that I like, if I have the day, you'll be up there?
I wish I did. To be really candid with you, like struggle with imposter syndrome like crazy, but
don't we all?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it easier to deal with that when training with the best in the world looks like just hanging out with your friends on a Sunday, like when you run with Seth and you run with Drew, or like Taylor Stack was my teammate in college, or hanging out with Christian Allen and rooming with him at races. Like certainly being surrounded by people that I look up to. It's funny, they say like don't meet your heroes or whatever, but maybe my biggest learning from living in Boulder or racing on the trails and being around these people is that do meet your heroes and realize that maybe you can be one too. So hope to change that in the coming year and channel a little bit more confidence. But
of course. Well, you have a lot going for you, and obviously at Believe in the Run, we're all big Cade Michael fans, and so we'll be cheering you on. Congrats on a big year. And I'm going to give you a future congrats on what 2026 is going to bring. I know you got to run the races and do all that, but I'm feeling some big things for you.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it. Can't wait to have it all come to a culmination in the beer mile at Western States this year. Absolutely. So I can show out for Thomas and Megan and Robbie and the crew.
That's the one place I will willingly line up next to you at that race. I'll be there again.
Sweet. Yeah, we all will be. This is a challenge put out there for anybody. Maybe they'll have the beers at room temperature this year and not freezing cold.
I mean, I think that'd be optimal. I don't know what's optimal. Let's be honest. I don't know what's optimal for chugging beers and running hard, but I will try. Okay, Cade, thank you for all your time. Best of luck this year in 2026.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Taylor.
Got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side.